All right. Hello, everybody. It's October 23rd here. I apologize for the late notice. I know I mentioned that on the call last week, but I didn't get the email out till later last night. So I apologize for that. Thank you guys for all showing up on the call a day ahead of schedule. So that's cool. We got a decent turnout. Cheryl, welcome back. I haven't seen you for many moons.
Hi, John.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, awesome. Good.
I need to get back in John world again.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
All right. Well, cool. I'm ready to open this call up to anybody. Anything you guys got you want to talk about or
Hey, John.
hey, Anthony, how's it going?
Hello. Good, good. I wanted to run something by you regarding this. See if I can share my screen here. Okay, you see that, right?
Yep, got it.
Okay, great. Now, this is, we've talked a few times the past couple of months about this review site and this review page. And this site now, a couple of things. What we did was we hooked up a YouTube site. You suggested to juice up this page, throw a video on top of the review.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so we did that. And actually, if you type in viral X reviews, this is the keyword that we're going after for this review page.
Okay.
Which number one on YouTube. So here's the YouTube video. On the review page, it's on top. And originally, Google wasn't ranking this viral X review, viral X reviews at all. This was about a month ago. And I've been looking at it. A couple of other people that I have that work on this, we're also looking at it. We've been changing things around. 3 other review pages on the site have been ranking for months. You told me a few times, just leave them there. Don't take them down. It's not duplicate content. For example, Viral X where to buy, Viral X GNC, these are all keywords. So here's the question. The first question is this Viral X review is now, it's been indexed, it's ranking. It's ranking for 75 keywords in the top 100 in SEMrush, but not Viral X review, which is the main keyword. And you're laughing. Not Viral X. Okay. And, if you look at this, it's, the title, I mean, I think this is your fundamental textbook on SEO. Viral X review is there. Then the permalink says Viral X reviews. The H1 says Viral X review. The video says Viral X review MP4. I asked you about these pictures. You said this is not keyword stuffing, that the robot can read text, but it won't add it on as extra keywords. That's what you've said. You said, don't worry about it. So there's a bunch of pictures here that say Viral X. The keyword density it was at 2% for Viral X and Viral X reviews. It wasn't indexing after that. So then I was looking around. Another guy that works on this was looking around. And a couple of the review sites that are on page 1, they have 5% for some reason for the main keyword. So then we bumped that up to 5%. So Viral X reviews at 5%. Nothing's beyond 6%. Everything else is 2%, 1%. I can't figure out. I mean, what's your take on this? When somebody shows you this, where a review page like this, Google is refusing to rank it for the main keyword.
What I would look at is I'd look at the linking profiles. Like look at the ones that are ranking in the top and see how many incoming links and look at what their link portfolios look like. Like use Ahrefs is probably a better tool for that than SEMrush.
Okay.
Because it gives you a better linking profile. So you could see, you know, how many links are coming in there. And then the other thing too is what type of links and what type of traffic are they actually driving? Like, what another thing I might try and do is take this site into SimilarWeb,
Okay.
and then take your competitors into SimilarWeb too, and look at the volume of traffic. They might
Yeah,
be,
there's no
they
yeah,
might
there's
be
no question
crushing
that
it.
there's more traffic. Yeah, more traffic and more links. A lot of the links for the page one review sites, you know, there's 50,000, 100,000 links, but they've been downgraded. Their traffic has been throttled the past year or so by Google. And I
Yeah,
think this goes back to what you're saying is 90% of the links are bogus links that were purchased.
yeah,
Google can now tell it's not fake traffic.
yeah,
So
correct.
okay.
With
So you,
Google's AI is not only looking at the users coming in through Google, it's looking at the users coming in from everywhere. So if you've got, like, you know, if you've done a whole bunch of SEO link building in the past, and all of those links are on pages that are, you know, just junk pages and they're not driving you any traffic, Google knows that now. So they can see, they're looking at a general overall user experience from all different angles. So that's why, you know, a lot of people that were in the SEO world, they say SEO is impossible. You know, SEO is really hard now. They just don't quite get what SEO really is today. It's very different than what it was, you know, years back. It's a totally different animal. You know, the Google's AI, it was the most brilliant thing that Google ever did. And it was also, for the SEO industry, it was the worst nightmare that could ever happen. So it's actually come down now to what people are actually interested in, you know, what they click on, what they engage in. So your marketing just has to get a lot smarter. You know, you've got to figure out, you got to be better at hooks and titles and all that. Like, even on titles now, it used to be about, you know, the most important thing was having your keyword in the title and having relevant keywords in the title and all that. Now the most important thing about title is that it gets clicked, you know, that it gets looked at, it grabs someone's attention. It's
so it's still
still
important to
important.
keep
Yeah,
the
it's still important
keyword
to have
in
the
there.
keyword,
Okay.
but have the keyword in there in a way that it gets someone to click.
So
That's,
your answer to this question is that why they're so the question is why they're not ranking it for Viral X review, the main keyword. They're refusing to rank it. They're ranking it for 75 other keywords. Is because there's not enough links. There's not enough. They don't think that it's as worthwhile a site generally
for
as the.
that
That's your answer. Is that the answer?
only for that keyword. Like, you've
Oh,
proved that Google doesn't have a problem with it because it's ranking for all those other keywords. But what's happening is every keyword variation on the planet, every keyword variation that could potentially exist, Google has to decide, of all the content out there in the world, which one's most relevant for this version of this keyword. Now, you know, I've mentioned this many times over the last year, that the SEO game is kind of unfair to the little guy because the big guys, big brands are getting favored. And that's the reason they're getting favored, is all that brand recognition, people actually running searches for them, clicking through to them because they know them. And it really has. It's become a very unfavorable game for any small businesses because they don't have that. They don't have that brand engagement. So brand has really become important. Like, Google's looking at search strings that are being searched by actual users, and in a lot of cases, there might be somebody that is associated with us. Like, they might be putting in Viral X Amazon. You know, are Amazon's coming up high for this?
yeah. It's about 1,000. I mean, this keyword gets like 8,000 a month.
Yeah,
Amazon.
but
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, in the organic search, when you put in the Viral X review, is Amazon coming up for it?
Yeah, it does come up. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. It's because of that brand connection that Amazon has. When people search for stuff that they buy online now, a good chunk of them will add Amazon to the keyword phrase. And
Right.
that's what, it's totally unfair. I don't at all dispute that it's unfair and it's not cool, but it is
Right.
what it is.
Right. So this video set, I want to show you this. We did a vertical video as opposed to most of them are letterbox. How much of a difference is this a good thing for video? You like this idea of
I
vertical?
think on YouTube, I think it's going to be looked at as being odd. If you're
Odd.
doing,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's going to be looked at as odd. If you do it for advertising purposes, where it's going to fill a vertical space in an ad, I think it's great.
Okay.
But I think if you were doing just regular, like on YouTube, if you're putting this on YouTube to try and get traction, I'd try and fill the screen like everybody else.
Okay. Now I'm getting, for this one site at least, we're getting like 65% mobile traffic now for this review site. And the vertical, if you look at the vertical, it fills the entire screen.
Gotcha. Okay, so
iPhone.
in that case, if you're after that type of traffic, then that might be a really good solution. I hadn't even thought about the mobile version on YouTube.
Okay. So the solution then, like moving forward, the path forward then is there has to be more of a brand recognition for this. There has to be more links. There has to be more stuff.
Well, the bottom line to it is you need more engagement. You need more real users interacting with the content. That I think is your biggest challenge that you're up against. You probably have enough for you to rank for those other keywords. So the more keywords that you rank for, the more visitors are going to come to the site, and Google's going to get to assess how good the content is. So that's kind of the game that you can expect out of them now. They'll start sending you smaller amounts of traffic for lesser valuable keywords to see how the users interact before they start pushing you up the ladder. If they start sending a few people and they see, wow, this is a great engagement, this is really good, then let's try and send this guy more traffic and see what happens. And if they do, and it all scales up, that's where you can get massive traction in very valuable keywords. That's more of the game now as far as SEO perspective.
Okay.
John?
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Laurel.
A quick question,
Sure.
and sorry, I'm neophyte here, but that's all right.
No worries. There's
no dumb questions, right?
There really isn't. No, this for everybody. Anthony's been with me a long time, so some of his questions could seem very advanced, and that's okay. That's what he needs. But I'm here for anything anybody needs, so don't worry.
I'm very curious about the reason for Google's the way they do things, and you stated it perfectly. It favors the big guy.
Yeah.
It just seems like
It's actually
Google should be a little more egalitarian and and help support some of us little guys as well, and not make it, because we don't have the budgets behind being able to do this that the big guys have. So it feels unfair.
It is incredibly unfair.
So my question is, are the big guys paying Google to do this?
Well, there's kind of a yes and a no to that. They're not paying them directly to do this, and Google's not doing it for that purpose. Google's doing it for a sense of self-preservation. Google's biggest problem is having people manipulate their results to get things up in their listings that shouldn't be there, that don't belong.
Okay.
And Google knows when they send a visitor to a website, that's their business, right?
Yeah.
People search, they make quality recommendations, and that's why everybody goes to them. So that's the empire they've built. The reason that they built it, it's nothing more than a mousetrap. It's to get eyeballs on their properties which, as you probably know, in the advertising space, that's what drives ad revenue. You know, it's circulation. So in this world, in the digital world, circulation is not how many newspapers get distributed, it's how many eyeballs land on the property. So that's their game, is getting in as many eyeballs as possible so they can sell their click ads. That's the empire that they're trying to protect. They know if they allow the SEO community to put up anything and it's not good and the users get mad about it and they leave and they go somewhere else, that's going to hurt their ad dollars. So
Okay.
that's really the underlying driver here for what they do and why they do it. Now,
So it's economic for them.
it's absolutely economic.
Economic.
Now, I don't think that they've done what they did to specifically favor the big guys. It's just what they did is that's the outcome of it. And the SEO world always drives it. This is why I've been so good at predicting what Google's going to do every time. I've almost predicted every step of the way because I know the SEO world and I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing to Google, and I know Google doesn't like it. And I always think, well, if I was Google, what would I do about it? And I've been right every time. And so the SEO world has really forced this. And it really is one of the most brilliant things that Google's ever done, was to go to the actual user experience. It's like, you know, at first they tried to do that with linking. They figured linking was a form of popularity, but the problem with linking was it was a very easily gamed system, and that's exactly what happened. As soon as they went to it, guys like me figured it out. We told some people, they told some people, and now all of a sudden anybody can link anything they want. And now it's, you know, it's up to us who's going to be up there, not to Google anymore. And Google really does not like that. They don't like the loss of that control. So they come up with something to combat that. And a lot of times they'll release these updates or algorithm changes, and they've named them animals a lot of times. So it's like, okay, what's the new animal in the zoo this week? They had a penguin and a panda and a scarecrow, and you know, all these different algorithm shifts over the years. And it's every time they release one, the whole SEO community goes upside down and everybody's freaked out, and then they figure it out, and then they're back on track again. But this time, this is different. Google has really gone the extra mile in looking at the user. You know, what do the users like and why do they like it? So to your original question, are the big guys paying for this? Here's where the yes comes in. The big guys can afford to advertise.
Right.
They can afford to actually flood their site with traffic that's not Google traffic.
Right.
Google sees that as, wow, there's a lot of people on that site. There's people engaging. I don't want to miss out. That's a good property for me to promote.
Even though it's contrived.
Even though it's contrived. Yes, exactly. But
So
here's
how would
the
Google
thing.
be able to detect that it's being contrived?
Here's the thing. It's not really contrived, because if, let's say you have a website up and you do advertising offline to drive traffic to your website. If the people that hit your website spend time there, they don't bounce off, they click deeper, they keep engaging with the site, that's not contrived. Google knows what a good user experience looks like. And, you know, in answer to your question there, how do they know? They can monitor everything that happens across the web through your web browser. This is the really scary part for some people. Google is in charge of a thing on the web called safe web browsing. They own that. That's like a proprietary thing, and it's used in all web browsers, not just Google Chrome. It's used in every one of them, even the Mac web browsers like the Safari and all that. And it's like a screen door. When you make a request, your request goes out through the screen door onto the internet. A server somewhere out on the internet responds back and sends the information back. Like when you click a link, you're requesting information. that information is passed back through the screen door to display on your browser. So Google controls that screen door. It's called safe web browsing. And it's there to protect your computer from viruses and people taking over your computer and all that. So yeah, it's a good thing and a very evil wrapper. And I have always thought, and I'm very sure I'm right at some level on this, that they have some sort of an immunity with the government to be able to do that, because the privacy there, they're way over the line with privacy on that. I mean, they're in your bank account before you are. They're in.
Excuse me?
Yeah, they're in your bank account before you are. When you log into your bank account, they're seeing the data before you do. That's way over the line in privacy.
That's way, way over the line.
So I know at some level they've got some sort of a diplomatic immunity on that to be able to feed that information to the government. For now. That's the whole reason behind this big ruckus overseas with the UK.
Yeah.
They found out about that and they're absolutely outraged.
As well they should.
Yeah. But that's what's driving this whole thing. That's what's driving that whole issue over there, is exactly that. So
Scary.
that's what opened the can of worms and let the genie out of the box.
So in your crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen with all of this privacy and security over the next year or two?
There's a lot of redirection going on, and I think that's going to continue. And
From Google. You mean from Google?
Well,
and Facebook and
Google. Facebook is not sheltered like Google. Facebook's taken a big brunt of a hit right now, and a lot of the other ones are. Google somehow has shielded this off, and this is back to me. This is back to my belief that they've got some kind of diplomatic immunity in place. Nobody's touching them, and I'm like, why? How is that possible?
Exactly.
How is nobody after them with the deepest pockets on the planet?
In this country.
Yeah, how are they not being attacked? They have some sort of a shield up. I mean, you can't tell me they don't. I'm just not buying it. Because, that's what's going on. But the redirection, it is getting pushed to all the private parties. It's getting pushed on all the website owners. You have to have your privacy policies in place. You've got to have this, you've got to have that. So we're so busy chasing our tail to make sure we don't get bit. We're not seeing our eyes off the real ball.
Okay.
So that's what's going on, and it's crazy.
How do you think the thing in Europe is going to turn out ultimately? And will that influence
it's
and start to push things here?
Yeah, it's kind of like they're letting themselves fall across a sword, because the way that business is done now, it's all transacted online. So it's almost like we have entrenched ourselves so deep that, as evil as it might be, we can't give it up. I mean, what are we going to do?
Right.
Stop transacting? There's, if they say we're not going to do business with America, what do you think is going to happen to all their business owners that are getting all that online revenue? They're going to die.
So is it feasible for banks to put in private networks for their customers so we get away from the Google spy?
It still doesn't stop it, because all the web browsers that you interact with online, that's how we're used to connecting and communicating online. Now, you can turn it off. It's an option. Like, you could go into your web browser and you could literally turn off safe web browsing. But it's on by default. You would have to know how to do that. And I've never seen anybody even tell anybody how to do that. But it is an option. It's in your settings.
Well, I'm sure, and that's how they're getting past a lot of criticism is they're saying, hey, we aren't forcing everybody to be,
Yeah.
we're defaulting to it, but we're not forcing them to stay.
Yeah. It's really interesting how I even figured this out, because this information, like what I just shared with you, I haven't seen that available anywhere. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anybody that has brought that out publicly. I found out about it probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And I have servers because I do hosting. I have a whole hosting company. And in one of my servers, I had some private folders that were password protected, highly secure, passwords that no one would break and no one had and all of that. And I stored documents in there that were documents that were SEO blueprints and things that were for my eyes only. No one had ever seen that stuff. And I'm the only one that has access to it. It's in my folder. It is locked down, right? I went onto Google one day and I was running a search for something, and I saw one of my private documents that had been indexed. And I'm like, holy shit.
That's theft.
Now, you couldn't get to it because it was password protected, but it was there. Google knew about it and you could click on it.
Well, Google probably could figure out how to get to it, but that's theft, isn't it?
And I was literally freaking out. I called a friend of mine. He is like a major security guy. He's in charge of the worldwide security network for the Siemens Corporation.
Yeah.
And I called him and I'm like, I got a problem. I've been breached somehow. And I told him what happened. And he's like, oh my God. He goes, I'm dropping everything. I'll be right over. He came over, he brought all his equipment, he hooked it up to my computer, and he's like, okay, I want you to, open Firefox. And he kept telling me websites to go to. And then he said, log into your bank account. And I logged into my bank account. And he's over on the other side of the computer for me. And I can see his eyes getting big. And I'm like, what are you seeing? And he said, Google was in your bank account before you were. I'm like, oh, how did that happen? And he didn't know offhand. He said, I will find out. And the next day, he called me back and he told me how they were doing it. And we found out that had been going on since 2006.
So they're clearly collecting all of that information for what purpose?
That is the big question. So basically, anybody that has a browser since 2006 that did not have safe web browsing turned off, they've got that data. That I can tell you.
What's our risk in turning safe browsing off?
The risk is you could potentially get a virus from a hacker, and
Got it.
there is a lot of that. So it is, it is fairly risky. If you didn't have something else in place, there's other third-party softwares that you could use. I don't know that they're as good. I don't really know that much about the whole security end of things, but
Well, they could collect your information as well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a screen door. I mean, if they're going to monitor what's coming through the screen door, somebody knows what it is somewhere. So,
so
it's almost like, we've to live in the world that we live in. It's almost like we've all got to give up a little bit of privacy to enjoy what we enjoy. So.
But, the privacy is one thing. The security of access is another thing.
Exactly.
I don't want Tom, Dick, and Harry being able to access my bank account.
Sure, and that is secure. I have never seen or heard of an issue with that.
Okay.
What Google is using it for, I believe anyway, is I believe they're using this data to gauge user experience.
Okay.
Which there's no privacy issues with that, really.
No.
There's no data.
Other than you get flooded with targeted marketing, and there's good and bad about that.
Well, they're not using it for that. That does cross the line, and they're not using it for that.
Okay.
So what they're using it for is they're using it to gauge how well any piece of content is interacted with, so they can score it and rank it accordingly to what people want to look at.
Okay, so it's to my bank's benefit that I'm going in every day.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where it
So
shows up.
they could potentially be ranking for keywords because of your interaction with them.
So one of the things that irritates me is that if I go up on a website for a particular product,
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden I've got a ton of advertisements showing up
Okay. That's a
all
whole different
over the place
that's a
for
whole
that
different
product.
can of worms. That what that is, Google's not directly behind that. They are behind some of the distribution of the ads. They do have an ad network that distributes content. But what you're talking about is retargeting. And retargeting is a technology out there that's openly available. It's open source technology. And it's the idea of placing a cookie, which is just a little piece of code that hooks onto your browser. It's like a tag. It's
Right.
tagging you with information. So
Yeah.
what they tag you with is, let's say that you go to a website and you're looking at a pair of blue suede shoes. That website can tag you with an interest of blue suede shoes. So they're now connected to an ad network like Google or AdRoll or any of these other big ad networks out there. And they can now say to the ad network, I would like to display my ad to anyone that lands on a page or an asset in your world, and display my blue suede shoes to them if they've been to my site. So that's how that works.
Okay, and I also noticed with some sites you can't continue in a site unless you click it's okay to
Uh-huh.
put a cookie on my site. That's
Yeah,
between a
yeah,
rock and a hard place there. It's something you really
exactly,
want to explore.
exactly. And
The only way
that
to deal with that is to delete cookies constantly.
yeah, that's right. That whole thing was part of that UK uproar.
Okay.
You know, the fact that we were placing cookies on everybody and not asking their permission.
Yeah.
That was one of the leaning points that the UK could actually have a qualm about it.
Okay. So
So,
sites get by that because somebody says, somebody has to say yes,
yeah,
or they can't continue.
it's basically just opening up the doors and saying, I'm putting cookies on. If you don't
Okay.
like that, then you don't have to use my site.
Okay, so I'm going down a lot of rabbit holes here. I don't know if it's of interest to everybody else. However, here's what I would come back to. Now, how does all of this affect our sites? We're not the big players. So what do we have to know, and how does it impact how we develop our sites?
Perfect. That's actually a great question, and that really reflects on the whole ACT program. Is the ACT program, the whole basis behind it is figuring out who you're talking to and what's of interest to them, so you can build a site that they'll want to interact with.
Yeah.
So when traffic does come to your site, no matter how it gets there, the users will do the interaction versus the bouncing off.
Got it. So
Because
then that helps with the Google presence and so on.
exactly, because Google sees everything. If
Yeah.
they see only 10 users go to your site in a month, right? Why would they care? If they see 10 users go to your site and 9 out of the 10 spend 20 minutes there, they're going to go, wow, that's a great site. We should test that. Let's send a couple of keywords. Like Anthony said, his site now was ranking for 70-something keywords. They weren't the big keywords, but he's on the way there.
So that's distinct users?
Yes, that's distinct individual users. So, but like I said, they know everything. They know if you like click a link on somebody's site and you hit another site and you bounce off, they're like, oh, that wasn't very good. They didn't get what they were looking for. Why would we want to send people there and have that experience?
Yeah, right.
So that's
It's
kind
their
of
own self-preservation.
yeah, they're very, very focused on preserving their empire. They have built an empire and they're not going to let it go down easily.
It's a business. I get that.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going away.
at the same time, security is a huge, huge issue that they need to address.
Yeah, yeah. And also I see in the chat, Dr. Anita says, who can see my bank account? This doesn't mean people can see your bank account openly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the data that's transmitted, like when you request your bank account information, you log in, that information's coming across the lines on the internet to be visible on your screen. It's only really visible to you because you've logged in with your password, but it did pass across Google's screen door. So they technically have record of it. It doesn't mean
they have record that I access, not record to my balance or password.
Yeah, technically any content that went through, they can read it.
Okay.
It's the idea of who could see it. It's not publicly visible. It's stored in a computer somewhere, but it's not like people have access to be able to look at it. So you don't have the worry that somebody can, you know, get in and see that. Believe me, if Google ever crossed that line, they'd be in really, really deep caca.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're ever going to do that. Now, this could actually potentially help with terrorism, because if you think about it, terrorists use websites.
Right.
Google could pass that information over to the NSA or whoever they send it to, and it could potentially keep us safe if you look at it that way.
But does this penetrate VPNs?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
VPNs make no difference. It's still information passed across the web browser.
Aren't you impressed? I know something.
The only thing a VPN might do is just kind of protect where it's coming from, where it's going to, but it's still passing across a web browser.
Okay. Can't get away from it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, it's like one of those things, sometimes you got to give something up for the lifestyle that you live.
Well, yeah, I've gone through that thought process myself, and it's just like, you know, hey,
Yeah.
it's already out there. I already know I'm on the dark web.
Yeah.
I was in the whatchamacallit, my data's out there from the breach of the credit bureau. They informed me I'm toast there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, yeah, we could all decide to be Amish too, and we could go live on a farm and have no electricity.
Yeah.
But most of us aren't going to do that. We're going to go, okay. You know, it's
Okay.
the whole thing. Like when the internet was first getting started, there was so many people that said, I'm not putting my credit card on there. Well, how'd that work out for them?
Not well, and people just said, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to dominate everything with this conversation, but the main thing is, what do we do to combat security and privacy issues as well as encroachment?
I think your best bet is to keep really good passwords. Don't use simple passwords on anything. You can use I use a thing called LastPass to keep all my passwords. So now I don't have to have easy passwords I need to remember. I can just put gobbledygook in there and LastPass remembers it for me. And I don't have any issues with that. I haven't had anything broken into because of that in a very long time. But when I used to use simple passwords, yeah, I'd get people that go in and change information on my sites, and now I force everybody on my servers, I force them. They can't have simple passwords anymore.
Okay. So from I'm going to have people come in and give me their credit cards to buy things and so on. I just want to make sure that I'm responsible and that I'm stating my privacy policy correctly. So
okay, in that aspect, here's something that would be more important to you. If you're doing e-commerce,
yep,
and you are actually taking credit cards online,
right,
you should be using a shopping cart and a payment gateway that is not yours. So you're not storing that
right,
data.
right.
I don't think any of us should really be responsible for storing credit card data anymore.
Oh no, and I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I'll use a gateway, but the gateway is a responsible way of protecting.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would absolutely be what I would recommend, is that you offshoot that to someone else.
Who do you do that with, John? You
I I
you didn't like
use
ClickFunnels any longer. You had a different company.
Yeah, I'm using Kartra now for my
Okay.
shopping cart, and then I have Kartra tied to AuthorizeNet. So I use
Mm.
authorize.net for my gateway processor. And some people use Stripe, some people use, different things. There's CyberSource, there's a whole list of them. I don't know that any one really is better than the other. Some of them you can get a better rate on, but they're all highly secure. They're all heavily regulated now.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, there's still software out there that you can get where you can run the software on your own website and you can process your own credit cards. I wouldn't do that now. That's a very dangerous game, and it makes you liable for things you do not want to be liable for.
I'm not going there.
I mean, pay the 2% and be safe.
Are
Who's the
there
company?
some,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I just one last question. Are there some pro forma privacy statements that would be useful?
What I use, if you look at my site on internetdominators.com, down at the very bottom in my footer, there's a link there. There's a logo that says FTC Guardian. And that's the company that I use. It's an actual online law firm that the attorney, he's actually an internet marketer guy. So what he does is he creates a set of all the legal forms for you, and he keeps them up to date.
Okay.
So you put your information in, it populates in the little widget, and it displays all those different policies for you. And then he keeps them up to date. When things change, he'll change it for you.
Okay.
Hey, John, about a year ago, you were talking about going away from ClickFunnels into a different.
Yep.
What?
I made that switch and I could not be happier.
And what was that company you're using?
It's called Kartra.
Oh, that Karta.
Yeah.
Kartra. Kartra.
That's the
Okay.
one. For anybody that wants it, I have an affiliate link. It's really simple. It's just my website, internetdominators.com /Kartra, Kartra.
And you like it?
I love it. I've moved everything onto it. I've been using it pretty much exclusively now for over a year.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It really is. It's like, how everybody used to want Infusionsoft, but then, you wanted what they said it did, but then you got it and you couldn't do it, but you still wanted it. And so many people paid so much money for it. Well, what I tell people is Kartra is what Infusionsoft wanted to be. It actually gives you all the functionality that Infusionsoft promised but never delivered on. And I absolutely love it. Right now, I don't know what I would do myself if you took it away from me.
That's good to hear. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Seriously, it's awesome. It's like $100 a month. It's like $98 a month, something like that. And it has saved me so much money because I could get rid of all these other things. I got rid of Wistia, which I was paying $100 and something a month for, just to host my videos. Well, Kartra hosts my videos, so I got that off my back. You can get rid of your autoresponders, your page builders, your calendar systems, your help desk software, all the stuff that you pay for nickel and dime. It has everything in one shot.
John, this is Anita. What's the benefit of Kartra over Kajabi?
Kartra and Kajabi are very similar. In fact, they were both built by the same guy. What Kajabi was version 1. Kajabi was built in many years back. And what Kartra is just a new updated version of it that I think handles some of the particular features better. If you have Kajabi, there's nothing wrong with it. Like if you had Kajabi and it was all working for you, I don't see any reason to move to Kartra. But if you were starting from scratch and you had a choice, I think I would probably go with the Kartra.
Well, I have Kajabi. I have a few things in there only because I've been trying it, but I find it very intimidating and I want something easier.
Okay.
Nobody seems to have any live help, but I understand now that Kajabi does have a number that you can call. Is Kartra a little more user intuitive for those of us that are not techie like everybody else on this call but me?
Well, I can't tell you from personal experience about Kajabi because I haven't used it. So I don't really know what the interface looks like, but I can tell you in Kartra, it's very easy to use, but it's kind of intimidating when you first see it. It's kind of like a Chinese nesting doll. You've got the basic tabs, but then when you click it, then there's other things. Now, everybody that I've got moved over to it, after a short learning curve period, which I really helped them advance through pretty quickly, they all love it. They're like, oh my God, I can do my own stuff now. And everybody's been very happy with it. Some of you guys probably know Lisa Gold from Craig's group. I just got her moved into it from Infusionsoft, and she's kind of freaking out a little bit because it's like her first day in it. And after this call, I'm going to go in and help her kind of walk her through it. But she had Infusionsoft before, and she couldn't even touch that one. And when I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's just crazy how confusing it was to get anything done.
Is it possible to record your your training with her so that we could see it?
Actually, in the ACT program, there's a training where I walk through how to use it.
I remember you were going to do that. You did some Zoom calls and stuff last year on it when you first got introduced into it.
I believe there's one in the tools section under the content tab.
Okay.
If you go into the content section of ACT, and there's a tools lesson, I believe it's in there, and it's also in the bonus section.
Do we have to purchase it first, or do they have a trial where we can go in and practice with it before we make a commitment?
I believe they have a 30-day trial.
Okay.
And if you go in, if you watch that video, you can see me going through the whole thing. Like I go through every tab and I show you, you know, how this works and how actually easy it is. Now, I know when I say something's easy, I know it's probably not for some people that are not used to things like I am. But when you've got somebody, you know, like me, like let's say you get into it and you're stuck, I'm happy to help you through on the call. You know, it's for everybody's benefit. You're not really exposing anything. Like if we get into your account and I show you how to set up a database or connect things or whatever, a lot of people have done that. Several of our calls, we've actually shared screens and, you know, gone through. If there's something like you want to know how to do, you don't want people to look in your account, I'm happy to do it in mine and show them in mine. It's not a big deal.
Where's that link at for the cartridge, John? Is that just internetdominator.com
/Kartra, Kartra.
Okay. Make sure I get signed up under you. What would you do if there was a huge, so I got in with this, partner with this company, and there's a gentleman that owns the internet for this product.
Okay.
What would you do if his SEO is just through the roof? He probably he's probably hired you. He's probably your client. But he's got cookies and pixels, and I mean, I could be playing solitaire and his little ad pops up somewhere and I'm like, get off my computer. So can you cookie his website?
Well, no, you can't really do that, but
okay.
You can learn a lot from him. I mean, part of what I teach in the ACT program, as you know, is competitor research.
Right.
Look at, you know, what are they doing? Well, how are they doing it? Why are they doing it? And how could you do it better? But, you know, at this point, in the beginning of this call, we talked about how the big guys have an unfair advantage. Anybody that's ahead of you at this point, unfortunately, they've got that unfair advantage because, you know, Google's collecting data. They're analyzing the data to see which properties, when I say a property, I'm talking about a web page or some sort of an online asset. They're evaluating every one of those. There's a gazillion of them on the internet now.
Mhm.
So they're evaluating them, and the thing that's important to them now is how people interact with them. Now they understand that there's probably really good content out there that's never been seen before. So I truly believe that they have this built into their algorithm, that they're not looking at mass numbers. They're looking at percentages. In some way, they've got to be looking at percentages of good user versus non-good user. And, and I think Anthony probably proved that earlier on in the call when he said that new page now was ranking for 70-something keywords.
Mhm.
They're not the big keywords yet, but they're starting to be able to play the game. And if that weren't the case, he would have never made that jump. So I think they've in some way tried to make it fair, but when you look at it for the competitive keywords, the ones that really drive a boatload of traffic, yeah, I don't think it's fair on that end. But they're at least allowing you the opportunity to work your way up the ladder without just knocking you out of the game completely.
Okay.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I go back to that whole training with ACT, and I know I have to do some of that. I'm never going to beat him out. I just I'm looking at the next product that they have coming down the chute, so he's going to be obsolete pretty soon because he bought the domain. That's the name of their product. So I'm trying to get ahead of them in that regard.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been actually talking about you the last few weeks, Cheryl.
You have been.
We have, not explicitly, but as a group collectively, because
Uh-oh.
you were one of the people that actually made ACT what it is today.
Well, I certainly put some heart and soul into it, trying to help you.
Yeah. I've been telling the story about how it didn't work the first round, and I took 12 people under my wing for a year to figure out.
Right. That's right.
You were definitely one of the ones that pulled a lot of that information out of me.
I tell you, it was the more we asked, the more we learned. But like I said to those of you on the call, John doesn't know how much he knows. He is a wealth of information and just thinks everybody has it, but they really don't. So
yeah, that was probably my biggest part of my problem when creating ACT. I just didn't know what to tell you.
Yeah, just relaying it in a way that, it's common sense to you, but for people like me, like Dr. Anita said, everybody on the call is tech savvy. I'm not. John knows that. I was the person that was saying, what? I don't understand that. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
You made me figure out how to explain things better. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My old teaching skills came in handy somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see. I think a lot of these questions we have answered. Does anybody have anything, that I missed in the chat box? I kind of scanned through it here, but I think we hit most of it.
I was curious.
Hey, John, it's Sharon.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon.
No, it's all right. Go talk to me. I actually need you for something else. I was going to email you, but if I can get you at the very end, that'd be awesome.
Okay, sure.
John, the only thing in the chat that I picked up, it was Scott to all of us, was Epic Privacy Browser.
Epic Privacy Browser. I'm not sure I've heard of that.
I think that's when we were talking about the banking information.
Okay.
Maybe Scott could elaborate on that.
Yeah, Scott, are you still on?
Yeah, hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I've been using Epic for, 2 years now, and they just do a great job of, it's basically built on Chromium platform, but there's no tracking, no tracing. They have a built-in virtual VPN within the browser itself. It's free to use. I think they take donations to support the development and continue updates to the browser, but it pretty much blocks all types of any ability to track what you're doing
Okay.
online. So
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I haven't heard of that one yet, so that's good to know. It's called Epic Privacy Browser.
Correct.
Okay.
I've had good luck with it.
And I imagine you can find that just by Googling it, right?
Correct.
Awesome. That funny little thing out there called Google, it has the answer to everything.
Right.
And it'll know what we're Googling. And
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. But once
there goes our privacy.
there goes your privacy temporarily, but at least you can install it and then go back out and search for what you want to and basically give Google the finger, I guess.
Yeah. Well, there's keep in mind though, I don't really know that that's going to solve the problem of what I was talking about. Now there's privacy, there's like Google in the Chrome browser has a thing called incognito. You can open up an incognito window and people can't track what you're doing, but that doesn't mean that Google can't track it.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct. But this goes much further than that, blocking that ability. So they don't believe in the people that developed Epic, according to their statement. They don't believe in private browsing. They believe everything should be private when you're out there searching. So supposedly they've shut that down. I don't know.
Huh. Well, interesting. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that they could be doing, shifting and all that with all of the heat coming out of the UK, and all eyes kind of getting a lot more scrutinous.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else got anything before we wrap up here?
Oh, you'll probably get an email from me.
All right. Well, you know where to find me.
I know.
Hey, was your house okay? There was a tornado out there in Cape Coral last week. Was your house okay?
Oh, I haven't even checked in. Not sure. I got 4 of them out there.
Oh my goodness. Are they in the north? Are they in the North Cape?
They're right out by the water. So
You might want to. I think. Well, yeah. I don't think it was by the water. Yeah.
I haven't got any calls from the property manager, so I guess we're okay.
Have you seen them yet?
No, I haven't even been there.
Well, get your butt down here. I'm literally out at the Cape once or twice a week.
Well, I have to send you out to look at them.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? Get down to Florida in your cruise ship. You got your cruise ship yet?
No, we're still working on that.
All right. Get
might
going
not
on
be.
that.
Might not be too far off, though.
Say hi to Barb for me.
All right, will do.
Hey,
Thank you,
John.
John.
John, it's Gregory.
Hey, Gregory, how's it going?
Very good. Went to PenCon this weekend. That's a pension convention in San Diego.
Oh, that's
Talked to wealth.
convention.
Okay. Every year, well, all the trustees and wealth managers involved in Taft-Hartley pension plans all meet for a convention for classes about the latest laws and the latest investments and things like that. As a trustee, I get to go. It's paid by the trust. They pay they pay the ticket. They pay the hotel. And but the good point was that I started talking to wealth companies like State Street, BlackRock, and Vanguard said no, but Newman Bergman said yes, and Victory Capital said yes, and 2 others who I forgot their names said yes. That they do what they do is they do unique branding. They'll take me as a company and make me a brand, and then I'm under their umbrella. So I bring clients through the door. They do all the backroom work. They do the security exchanges and the paperwork and the tracking of the monies and distributions. Then the company called Makita, which is my big relationship, they don't do that. But what they do is they hire me as a team, and they make me a team wealth manager, portfolio manager. And then they in turn will introduce me to pension plans, providing that all our stuff is up to snuff. So I'm on a 6-month to 12-month trial to get my stuff. Well, we're doing it anyhow, and then start talking to. So that's a big port up to you. So I need to go to the next step with you on the site and work on the two avenues. One is what we talked at lunch, building the pathways of the funnel
Okay.
for getting people interested and letting them know who I am and whatnot. And then finalizing the trade plan for the regulators to go to the investment houses. But it was a very good, lucrative trip. So that's why I just bring up the date that progress is going forward on that, on the idea of having that, and it's called alternative investments, not what I was calling it. Hedge fund has a different bad connotation among trustees and pension funds, but you say alternative investments,
Yeah.
we can talk about it. So it's a change. It's the same thing. It's just a change of word in their mindset and their perception.
Exactly.
But,
Well, that's one of the things you got to figure out what's the language.
Right, but it was very lucrative and working forward. My question or first challenge right now on the table. I need you and I to get together on this. I'm up for re-election. So so the thing is that I have 2 months of campaigning. A lot of my union members are on Facebook, and my question to you is, when people on my timeline, I go to my timeline, go to my Facebook, and I see all these other people punching. I see their stuff going on. Is there a way I can turn them off and only what I put up only shows up on my Facebook, so I can just target my my union members for the votes?
Well, do you mean like what you see or what they see?
What they see.
What
I'll be
they
putting up
see,
video.
You can't really turn off. You can't like say, no, you can't see something, but you can advertise to them and you can put your stuff in front of them. Absolutely.
That's okay. That's what I'm going to be doing, right? And I'll be doing at least, I have to do at least dailies.
Yeah, what you want to do in there when you go into your Facebook ad account, you want to create those users as an audience. So if they already belong to a Facebook group or something, very easy to do.
That they belong to the stagehand group, and plus they are also linked as my friends as Facebook connections.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can target them as a specific audience, and you can send out anything you want and have it show up in their news feed or the side panels, or wherever you want them to see the messages.
Okay. So what's your availability on Friday?
Oh, let me see. This Friday.
I know you're away tomorrow for a speech.
Yeah, I'm going to be out at Missy's thing. Let me see. Friday, I'm probably open in the afternoon Friday.
Will do. Okay.
We can
you give me you send me your best time, and then we'll make it happen. I'm home.
Awesome.
And then also too, I'll be signing up to take on your team to work on the website. So that's going to be 2 punches to take out one meeting.
Perfect. All right. Well,
All right.
we'll get you
Thank
up and cooking.
Okay. Right. Bye.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
Just me, but it has nothing to do with SEMrush.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead if you want.
Okay, I'm heading out.
Okay.
We have more content.
Okay. Thanks, Laurel.
Bye-bye.
Sharon, you want to hop back on here in a couple minutes?
Sure. I just have to find the link again.
Okay. Well, I'm going to close out for now and then hop back on in a couple minutes, and we'll go to it.
Okay. I'll be right there.
All right.
Cool,
Thank you, John.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, and we'll see you next week, regular time.
Hey, Anita.